Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jen, and we're going to go ahead and get started with today's webinar. Today we will be talking about creating a pretty common report that a lot of folks will use often for database cleanup purposes. And that report is a report of folks who have not attended and who have not given in a certain time period who are adults in your database. And this is going to be, if you have our workbooks, this is going to be in workbook membership 205 on pages 26 through 31 if you're following along. So we're going to go ahead and open up membership. Before we do, you'll notice this is version 20.17.2. So if you're not on that version, you're not going to be seeing the same screens as me. However, the reporting should be pretty similar if you're in an older version. So let's go ahead and open up membership. And this criteria that we're going to use for today's webinar of folks who did not attend and did not give, that'll work for any of the reports in Church Windows. We've got these 3 quick access buttons for your regular reports, labels, and email. And again, this criteria is going to work for all of those. We're going to go ahead and use just the regular reports today. So the first thing I'm going to do is select my membership field, and we're going to start with attendance. Since I want to know who did not attend, I'm going to select all of my events. You could just pick and choose if you'd like. And then I'm going to enter a date range, and I'm going to use last year. And when you're typing in these date ranges, you want to just type the digits, no slashes. Church Windows will insert those slashes for you. For times attended, we want to know who didn't attend, so we'll put 0 through 0 times. And then we'll add that selection. Now, so we don't get a whole bunch of kids showing up on this list, I'm going to add an and I'm going to come up here to my membership field selector, and I'm going to choose my directory report order. And I'm going to say I want anyone with a directory report order that's not child. And I'm going to add that selection to my criteria as well. On the right portion of this screen, we don't need to change anything. We leave all these giver number boxes checked. We want to search for both members and visitors, so we leave both those categories checked. And we're not interested in inactive folks, groups, or any donations people, so we leave all those unchecked as well. What we do want to know is if folks gave or not. So we're going to go to the Giving and Pledging tab, and we're going to say only those who did not give. Now we're not concerned about pledging, so we'll leave that as all, and we'll leave both of these right-hand corner boxes as all as well. We will, however, change the donations date range back to last year as well. And we can do that really quick and easy by clicking the -YR button, minus year, decrease a year. You can go forward with that as well. On the Accounts tab, if we wanted to see only those who did not give to a particular account, we could select that account here. Otherwise, as it says on the right half of the screen in bold, all accounts will be selected. So we're going to stick with that. And then the last tab we have is the Sort tab. And this determines what order the names are in. So we'll stick with the sorting by name last first, and then we'll click Next. And because we have a small database here in our demo data, we only have a couple of folks who fit this criteria. And if we click Print, using this basic report, we're going to get their names, addresses, and primary phones. And these columns are blank for these folks because we don't have that information for them anyway. And so again, this is a great report for our database cleanup where we can see if we have folks that are no longer actively contributing to our church's congregation. Now, if we want to go back and change this criteria, I can click that back button down there, and I can come up here to our People tab again, and let's say I want to go back to 2016. I can highlight my attended criteria and click Remove Line right here. And then I can choose Attendance again, select all, and I can go back to 2016. And we'll still do 0 through 0. And we'll add the selection. But now it's out of order. So I just need to click on it and use this up arrow right here to put it back at the top. And I'm going to come to the Giving Pledging tab as well, jump my year back, and click Next. And that gets me one other person. Now, one additional option we have back here is to save this search criteria if this is something we're going to be using throughout the year. I can click this little floppy disk button down here at the bottom of the screen, and I can say non-attenders and non-givers, and click OK. Then I'll click Next. And it's asking me to save my changes. And we get the same list of people. Now if I close out of here completely and I come back into Reports, I can come down here and grab my saved selection. And this saves not only this criteria here, but also the criteria on the other tabs as well. Now we will want to change the year on these. That one is 2016, so this one is 2016. And then we'll click Next, and we get those same folks. Now if I want to go back one more year, I can remove this line and grab Attendance, select all, and we'll go back to 2015 real quick. Oops, helps if I type my date right. We'll add our selection, move it up, and we'll go to Giving and Pledging and go back to 2015. Oh, and I entered that incorrectly. I did that for 2 years, but that's okay. We can leave that like that. We can see for 2 years who hasn't attended. Then if I click Next, it's going to notice that I changed this saved selection. I changed that year. And it gives me the option to save over it or not. And I'm going to go ahead and save over it. And then we get our list of people again. And that would be the same list of people if we were to use labels or emailing. All of those are going to function in the same way. So that was a pretty quick report process for us there. If there are any questions, make sure and type them into the questions panel on the sidebar of your webinar toolbar. We can take a quick look here at what it looks like with the labels using this same criteria. I can grab that saved selection and I can click Next. And then I can choose my mailing label and click Print. And now instead of that report, I get some labels. And those would be more helpful if I had the addresses, but that's okay. This is just a demo. And we could do the same thing with emails, like I mentioned as well, if those folks have an email address. Like, for example, if you wanted to send an email to all those who hadn't attended or given, you could do that to remind them or see if they, maybe moved out of the area or something like that. Okay, well, thank you everyone for sitting in on this webinar. I hope it was helpful. Again, if you have any questions, type those into the questions panel over on your webinar toolbar. And since this was such a short one, I'll stick around for a while if anybody does have any questions. Otherwise, you can go ahead and get on with the rest of your day. Thank you again for taking the time to watch this webinar. And we hope you're enjoying all the improvements in version 20. Okay, since there don't seem to be any questions and most folks have left, I'm going to go ahead and close the webinar. Thank you again.